Hello everyone, let's talk about cellular networks and ITP. Here are some standards prerequisites to take, like ensure that your 3G 4G device, whether a USB modem, a MIFI device, a card or a smartphone, has all available updates installed to address vulnerabilities in the firmware or software, have a firewall installed and properly configured on the host device, have antivirus and anti-malware software installed and turned on, use strong passwords or multi-factor authentication for accessing sites involving financial data or sensitive personal information, enable logging and alerting for the Wi-Fi part of the connection, enable WPA2 encryption on a mobile hotspot device such as the MIFI or Sprint's overdrive, disable SSID broadcasting and disable the DHCP server. When using a mobile hotspot device or the mobile hotspot function, your phone which allows for multiple computers to use the 3G or 4G connection, monitor the hotspot software to be sure only devices you know about are connected. If the device allows you to set a maximum number of users, set this to 1 if you are going to be the only one connecting to the device. Change the default administrative passwords on your 3G or 4G devices. If your 3G 4G device supports MAC filtering, enable it and create a whitelist of the physician and physical addresses of the device, such as your laptop, that you want to be able to use 3G 4G and block all. How cellular networks work. The basic components of the cellular networks are the wireless network, the core network, the internet connection, and the PSTN. Cellular users access the network via radio signals between their devices and the cellular towers. This wireless network is also connected to the core network, which is a wired network. The wired core network connects to the public switched telephone network PSTN for making voice calls to landlines. The core network also connects to the internet using some protocol, gateways, and multi-protocol mobility managers for sending data to and receiving data from other data networks. The core network uses service nodes, which are servers, to store data such as subscriber information. Of course, it's far more complicated than this. There is some security issues, like anyone who has worked in network administration and security knows that any network is only as secure as its weakest point. The problem with complex internet works such as the cellular networks is that they have so many parts and thus so many potential points of security failure. Overall, security of cellular data transmission depends on the security of all of the four major components listed above. Wireless connections are inherently more difficult to secure than wired transmissions. When signals go through the airwaves, it's easier to intercept them because you don't have to physically tap into a line. Anyone with a transmitter receiver can capture the signals since it's difficult or impossible to prevent the interception of the signals. The key to securing a wireless network is encrypting those signals so that they will be useless to any unauthorized party who does intercept them. Early cellular networks did not adequately secure the wireless signals in transit. However, 3G and above networks use strong, cheaper keys to encrypt the signals. Two-way authentication is used there. Security of the core network refers to the security of the service nodes, servers, and the security of data in transit over the wire between the service nodes. The MAPSEC protocol provides security for the application layer protocol that is used for exchanging information that is specific to a subscriber and authentication information. IPsec is also used on the core network to protect communications in transit between service nodes. However, use of MAPSEC and IPsec is optional and up to the service provider. Each provider has its own security policies regarding physical security of the servers and remote access to those servers. Just as the internet poses a threat to home network connected to it, it also poses a threat to the core network. Attackers can travel from the internet through the gateways and infiltrate the core network. These include DOS attacks and SMS text spam because it is connected to the internet through the core network. The PSTN's security cannot be assured either. The PSTN was designed as a closed network and so did not include security mechanisms designed to protect from the types of threats that can come in from the internet. The SS7 protocols it uses are plain text and don't include authentication. The good news is that cellular carriers are becoming more aware of the vulnerabilities of the cellular networks and are taking steps to remotely. Nonetheless, it's just as important for you to take measures to secure your own data and systems when operating them on a cellular network. Recent reports such as the MCAFE report on mobile security released this month focus on smartphone and tablet operating systems, but it's important to realize that laptops and desktops connected to the internet via cellular transmission. Cell ID in combination with the MCC, the LAC and the MNC is the unique identifier of the BTS. The cell ID of the BTS has the association with certain mobile station which is known by the mobile device and can be utilized To appropriate the position of the mobile device, GSM UMTS service zone is separated into location areas where every LA incorporates at least one radio cells. Every LA and radio cell has unique identifier named cell ID and LAC. BTS covers the set of the cells, and this is structural GSM UMTS architecture. The GSM network structure is divided into a base station, subsystem and core network, which is shown in the figure. The base transceiver station BTS is a main communication. Hello everyone, let's talk about cellular networks and ITP. Here are some standards prerequisites to take, like ensure that your 3G 4G device, whether a USB modem, a MIFI device, a card or a smartphone, has all available updates installed to address vulnerabilities in the firmware or software, have a firewall installed and properly configured on the host device, have antivirus and anti-malware software installed and turned on, use strong passwords or multi-factor authentication for accessing sites involving financial data or sensitive personal information, enable logging and alerting for the Wi-Fi part of the connection, enable WPA2 encryption on a mobile hotspot device such as the MIFI or Sprint's overdrive, disable SSID broadcasting and disable the DHCP server. When using a mobile hotspot device or the mobile hotspot function, your phone which allows for multiple computers to use the 3G or 4G connection, monitor the hotspot software to be sure only devices you know about are connected. If the device allows you to set a maximum number of users, set this to 1 if you are going to be the only one connecting to the device. Change the default administrative passwords on your 3G or 4G devices. If your 3G 4G device supports MAC filtering, enable it and create a whitelist of the physical addresses of the device, such as your laptop, that you want to be able to use 3G 4G and block all. How cellular networks work. The basic components of the cellular networks are the wireless network, the core network, the internet connection, and the PSTN. Cellular users access the network via radio signals between their devices and the cellular towers. This wireless network is also connected to the core network, which is a wired network. The wired core network connects to the public switched telephone network PSTN for making voice calls to landlines. The core network also connects to the internet using some protocol, gateways, and multi-protocol mobility managers for sending data to and receiving data from other data networks. The core network uses service nodes, which are servers. to store data such as subscriber information. Of course, it's far more complicated than this. There is some security issues like anyone who has worked in network administration and security knows that any network is only as secure as its weakest point. The problem with complex internet works such as the cellular networks is that they have so many parts and thus so many potential points of security failure. Overall, security of cellular data transmission depends on the security of all of the four major components listed above. Wireless connections are inherently more difficult to secure than wired transmissions. When signals go through the airwaves, it's easier to intercept them because you don't have to physically tap into a line. Anyone with a transmitter receiver can capture the signals since it's difficult or impossible to prevent the interception of the signals. The key to securing a wireless network is encrypting those signals so that they will be useless to any unauthorized party who does intercept them. Early cellular networks did not adequately secure the wireless signals in transit. However, 3G and above networks use strong, cheaper keys to encrypt the signals. Two-way authentication is used there. Security of the core network refers to the security of the service nodes, servers, and the security of data in transit over the wire between the service nodes. The MAPSEC protocol provides security for the application layer protocol that is used for exchanging information that is specific to a subscriber and authentication information. IPsec is also used on the core network to protect communications in transit between service nodes. However, use of MAPSEC and IPsec is optional and up to the service provider. Each provider has its own security policies regarding physical security of the servers and remote access to those servers. Just as the internet poses a threat to home network connected to it, it also poses a threat to the core network. Attackers can travel from the internet through the gateways and infiltrate the core network. These include DOS attacks and SMS text spam because it is connected to the internet through the core network. The PSTN's security cannot be assured either. The PSTN was designed as a closed network and so did not include security mechanisms designed to protect from the types of threats that can come in from the internet. The SS7 protocols it uses are plain text and don't include authentication. The good news is that cellular carriers are becoming more aware of the vulnerabilities of the cellular networks and are taking steps to remotely nonetheless, it's just as important for you to take measures to secure your own data and systems when operating them on a cellular network. Recent reports such as the MCAFE report on mobile security released this month focus on smartphone and tablet operating systems, but it's important to realize that laptops and desktops connected to the internet via cellular transmission. Cell ID in combination with the MCC, the LAC and the MNC is the unique identifier of the BTS. The cell ID of the BTS has the association with certain mobile station which is known by the mobile device and can be utilized to appropriate the position of the mobile device. GSM UMTS service zone is separated into location areas where every LA incorporates at least one radio cells. Every LA and radio cell has unique identifier named cell ID and LAC. BTS covers the set of the cells, and this is structural GSM UMTS architecture. The GSM network structure is divided into a base station, subsystem and core network, which is shown in the figure. And the base transceiver station BTS is a main communication. Hello everyone, let's talk about proxy chains. So how to set up proxy chains in Linux without any errors? Proxy chains in Linux is another tool for anonymity, providing anonymity and safe browsing. With proxy chains is easy. The proxy chains works on SOC S4, SOX 5, HTTP and HTTPS protocol. Setting up proxy chains is easy, but many users get errors. So how to set up proxy chains? To set up proxy chains, you will first need the Tor service. Most of the time the service is pre-installed, and need to some command. Just see this command and make sure your Kali machine is root device. If you get any error using this command, then it means a Tor service is not available in your system. So need to install first Tor, and after installing the service you need to give command nano etc proxy change.config, and you can use any editor of your choice. Here we are using nano. And in the configuration you will see hash, which means bash language comments, and it remove dynamic, remove proxy chains, and save the configuration and restart the service. Hey there, let's open Kali Linux machine and now I show you proxy chains and its basic and startup of proxy chains. So here is my proxy chains. So uses proxy chains for -q -f config file program name arguments -q makes proxy chains quit. This overrides this config setting, and -f allows one to manually specify a config file to use. For example, proxy chains telnet some host like Facebook, Google, Instagram, or whatever you want .com. So I use here a different command in proxy chains. Just have a look. Proxy say chains wget. Let's give facebook.com and press enter. So preloading the information gathering, resolving facebook.com and connecting to Facebook proxy chains. So one time connection refused. So now I used to another website like proxy chains aiuv.edu. This is my university official website. Press enter. Here is the strict chain. So this is how proxy chain work. So this is how a ISP help local user VPN to gaining data using Tor through SSH, VPN John Donim server, or Tor guard relay, or Tor middle relay, Tor exist relay. Then it gaining this data, and Tor help to reach data by SSH, VPN, or John Donim. Whenever you want to go to your desired data by SSH, VPN, or John Donim, your ISP would be helpful for you. Let's have an example like if any attack gain Tor guard relay or pass Tor middle relay and finally Tor exist relay, and Tor store activity of local user by incoming SSH, VPN, John Donim attack. SSH, VPN, John Donim server create a extra layer for incoming attack. Then the layer goes next like Tor guard relay and Tor middle relay, and finally the layer is stopped by Tor exist relay. The Tor client has a list of nodes from a dictionary server. Then the Tor client establishes a random connection via nodes for target and passing some data over the encrypted situation. And now talk about weakness via SSA's VPN John Donim. They can make a DNS and the SSA's VPN and John Donim client reach correctly by the help of making DNS, and it can be kill the connection over SSA's VPN, any of this layer like Tor guard relay, Tor middle relay. And lastly, the VPN provide SSH or VPN John Donim. There is some other options without a single hop or second hop or last hop. Between them, there is also some other options by using ISP. And this process user go to TLS by the use of VPN, SSH or then John Donim, and finally Tor, then internet.onion, and VPN as first hop here and Tor as last hop. And after that, the user go to SSH, VPN, John Donim, and then Tor and internet.onion, your desired target. So here SSH, VPN and John Donim as first hop and Tor as last hop. Now talk about if the Tor as first hop and SSH, VPN, John Donim as last hop. But in this system, Tor blocked his destination by SSH, VPN, John Donim server. Before this, between these two layers, Tor exit relay and SSH, VPN, John Donim server, between this layer, the Tor is stopped. SSH, VPN, John Donim, 3 layer stopped and cannot reach their destination by this layer if Tor is fast hop and SSH is VPN John Donim as last hop. In some cases, Tor hide your IP address by SSH, VPN or John Donim server and clarify your IP address and store your data, and Tor failed there. Here is a risk by John Donim server, and here the IP address is visible or stored in Tor. SSH VPN John Donim server, this is the last server. Before this 3-layer multiple hub is connected, and the local user or Tor client first go Tor guard relay and of course help of ISP, but in last SSH VPN John Donim server stopped and SSH VPN and John Donham server, the best protection against local user Tor client. And Tor and VPN is totally two different systems. In this tutorial, I show you guys some background information about Tor and its basic layer, Tor enhancements of our original and some related work, and how an attacker design goals and assumptions, the Tor design, some hidden services, design decisions, attack and defenses, some early experience, Tor in the wild, and Tor is middle. Tor work in middle way between attacker user and destination. And first user go to Tor network and attacker target user before go to Tor, then the request by the send of user go to entity guard, middle relay, exit node.
So let's talk about the actions and behaviors that we need for anonymity, and mainly we'll be talking about how to be anonymous online. So we have many things or many ways to be anonymous in online uses, like IP address. So what is IP address? So an IP address is a unique address that identifies a device on a internet or a local network, and IP stands for Internet Protocol, which is the set of rules that govern the format of the data sent via the internet or local network. So in essence, IP addresses are similar that allows information to be sent between the device on a network, that they contain location information and make device accessible for communication. The internet then needs a way to differentiate between different computers, routers and websites, and then IP address provides a way for doing this, form of an essence or essential part of how this internet works. So why this is important? Because IP address is a main part of us being anonymous, because changing IP address using like couple of tools like VPN and proxy can be helpful for anonymity, such as we can use VPN, we can use proxies. So let's talk about VPN, how we can use VPN for anonymity. So for VPN, the process of using a VPN to hide your IP is pretty straightforward. Just set up your VPN, and as soon as you connect to a server, your IP address will be masked with an alternate one to prevent website and other third parties from identifying you or even knowing your location. So this will help you to keep you anonymous. You could also try some of the best free VPNs to change your IP address, but I would not recommend, because however, you should note that free VPNs are often have limitation and like trials that have like 7 days or 10 days trial, because that's why the free VPNs I would not recommend. So also a couple of things about free VPNs is that they are slower in speed, and they have limited data and even privacy concern. Therefore, I strongly recommend going to an affordable premium VPN. So one of my favorite VPN is CyberGhost. So let's go and check about CyberGhost. So mostly I use this VPN. I think this is an affordable premium VPN that you can use for anonymity, which cost just a couple of dollars, as you can see, per month, and your IP address will remain hidden as long as you stay connected to the VPN. And this what is the difference between free and paid VPN? Because free VPN has, as I previously told, slower speed, limited data, even have some privacy concern. But in this VPN you don't have any of these issues. It will have like faster speed that your internet speed provider is providing to you, so you will have this full connection speed in this VPN. And as you can see, I think this is one of the best VPN that you can offer both on your PC and also on your phone. So I will highly suggest you to use this. So using this VPN, it will mean that you can safely and anonymously use the internet, and your fake IP address will be located in the country of the VPN server that you choose to connect. So you can change your IP by simply connecting to a different server, which they will provide. They will have like 10 or 15 servers, and you can choose one, or you can randomize your server. Although using a VPN is the easiest way to hide your IP address, and that's all about your VPN. So there is another way, which is proxy server. So proxy servers are another way to hide your change your true IP address. So an important fact to mention is, however, that proxy don't have any of the security features that most VPNs or premium VPNs offer. A proxy is a type of server that functions as an intermediate between user and the internet. When using a proxy, all your online requests will be sent through all your online requests will be sent through uh, sent through by the proxy server. So the proxy then forward your request to the web server that you are trying to reach. So during this process, the proxy changes some of your data, including your IP address, and then proxy server will have an IP address on its own, since all of the data is going through here, and the IP will send out the rest of the web instead of yours. However, it's best to use proxy server only when doing like low stake task, because when they don't encrypt your data and cannot prevent third parties from accessing it. So when you use a proxy, your ISP and other third parties can still monitor what you are doing online. So there are several proxy sites that you can use, like let's go. As you can see, you can use these free proxy sites in here. But the thing is, they don't expect, so what you have to do is, don't expect the similar production like that we previously saw as premium VPN. There is a far difference between a anonymity level between a proxy server and a VPN. So I would recommend you to go for the VPNs, and mostly for the premium VPNs that you like or that you feel comfortable. And we'll also talk about more about anonymity in our next lecture. So previously we talked about VPNs and proxies, and I show you premium VPN. So let's show you how to change your proxy. So you can change any of the browser's proxy by simply go to the setting. So let's go to setting. Simply just search proxy. As you can see, you can change all of your proxy in here, like just simply type manual proxy configuration, set your IP as HTTP proxy, set your port, set what your soft host you want to use, and then just press OK. As you can see, in default it is using the auto detect proxy setting. Then also you can use some free VPNs inside a browser so that you can browse anonymously. So simply just type VPN extension and it will give you lots of free VPN that you can use on your browser. Like as you can see, it is from Chrome also, and a lot of the, as you can see, most of them are from Chrome. As you can see, it is available for free. This will not work similarly like a premium VPN, but it will most likely work a decent amount of speed and bandwidth. But as I previously told it, I will always prefer you to go for the premium VPN. And also you can install VPN inside Kali Linux that you want. Like there are some of them, just simply install by going to terminal and install the VPN that you want. So to become fully anonymous, one need to use like different machines plus like public Wi-Fi, because that can be destroyed when you done with your browsing. And one of the most important tool or browser I would recommend for browsing anonymous is Tor browser, and I already previously show all about Tor, so make sure you check that out, because Tor is the best known for anonymity. And if you're not familiar with Tor browser, so let's go simply go to Tor. So this is the Tor browser. Because Tor uses a network of volunteer nodes around the world in anonymous for anonymity. So Tor in short for the onion router that allows you to encrypt your internet traffic, and each time you connect to a web server or route the traffic through a random array of nodes before heading to a final destination. So there are dozens of ways to use Tor for many devices, like the Tor browser is the most popular. So simply just you can use Tor both on Windows, Mac, and as you can see Windows, Mac, Linux, and even for Android. So I would say this is the best for browser if you are asking for a browser. Secondly, even though your internet traffic is encrypted and untraceable, an internet service provider or ISP can still detect whether or not you are using Tor. So this alone might be enough for raise suspicious, as Tor is often used for criminal activity online. So your ISP could choke your bandwidth, send you a cease or desist letter, or report you to authorities, even if you didn't do anything wrong. So for this reason, we advise Tor users to use an obstruction tool like OBSF proxy. So turn on a VPN using Tor, and both OVF's proxy is a Tor project that makes encryption and that Tor routes traffic normal like an encrypted traffic, so it will be better. And another one is like a live operating system like CubeOS, which is best known for deleting all of those histories when you are done with your work or with your browsing online or on a public Wi-Fi. As you can see, the one of the best hacker that we know, Edward Snowden, used to use CubeOS. As you can see, if you're serious about security, this is the best OS available today, and it's free. I already shown how to install CubeOS, so check that out. This is one of the best for operating system. Previously we saw talked about for the browser, and this is for the operating system. And then we have like in Chrome, you can go and browse like incognito. Most mainstream web browsers like Chrome, Firefox, and all of those browsers have an option for private, or this is the private mode. So this open up a special browser window that doesn't store cookies, that don't record your browsing history, or they don't keep any identifiers. But that is not enough to keep you anonymous online. These privacy modes merely protect your privacy from other users on the same device. So you can prevent your spouse, wife, or kids from seeing hot sites you visit. So you don't hide your online activity from your ISP, which is internet service provider, or like apps, websites. So that's one of the option you can use for to use anonymous. Then another option is like on public Wi-Fi, because you can instantly erase a history using this operating system using public Wi-Fi, that then it won't have any problem like gathering your information, so they won't save anything if you're using public Wi-Fi using this operating system. So this is the best use case, I would say. Because all of those work or all of those evidence will be destroyed, and no will able to find you, and no will able to find any clue about what you did using CubeOS or Tor inside, or using a public Wi-Fi. Then the last things I want to talk about, you can use a search engines like DuckDuckGo, which is the best search engine for safely browsing. So I would say this is the best for anonymous, best browser, best search engine for anonymity. And this DuckDuckGo is pre-built in on Tor browser. So if you are using Tor browser, you don't need this. It's pre-built in, and you have to use DuckDuckGo to safely browsing. And one of the things that we do is we often use extensions that are vulnerable. So that's why make sure you always check what extension you're using, what location or privacy that are using. So make sure you always check that out, that this will be for your anonymous activity. And secure your webcam and also Wi-Fi router, so that you can have like options, because it's been proven that webcams can be remotely activated and used to spy on users. So make sure you also check that out. And if you are choosing between iOS and Android based, which is more anonymous, go with Android, because don't go and get comfortable and think you can totally anonymous on either. It is far more difficult to be anonymous on a smartphone than on computer. Anonymity tools for Tor just haven't matured enough in a point that they will work on mobile yet. Apple and Google are too deeply embedded on these devices. So always go about this checklist. So that's all of the things you can do to browse, or how you can browse anonymous online. Because why anonymous is needed is that we can get rid a lot of censorship using like VPNs. Then we can use websites that are blocked in your country or in your region, and we can do stuff like that. And also for, encryption helps us the hackers to browse anonymous and do our stuff that we want to do. So that's how you can be anonymous online. So in this lecture I will talk about my tips to maintain complete privacy and anonymity. So I'll give you a brief description about this. So let's talk about first, avoid oversharing, especially on social media. So you would not start blurting out your most intimate secrets in front of a crowd of strangers. Yet a surprising number of people fail to exercise similar restraint to the World Wide Web. So the online audience is far larger than any crowd that could be assembled. So in protecting online privacy, start by disregarding the About Me section about your social media account. So it's not necessary for all to know about your date of birth, physical address, phone number, email address, all of this. So you could go further and restrict who can view your post and all of those. And create a powerful password. So after all the effort that you put keeping your personal information off the internet or safe from unauthorized access would come to naught if your online account aren't protected by a strong password. Apply the basic principle of a password management. That means that ensuring the password is at least 12 character long and contain lower uppercase number and special character and number. That will help you to get a good privacy. Then turn on private and incognito browsing mode for anonymity. So browsing in private or incognito mode is the butt of jokes, thanks to the assumption that it's most popular among people keen on browsing most of the porn site without leaving a trail. So this is a great demonstration of how powerful browsing incognito can be as a weapon for protecting online privacy. That being said, private or incognito mode has some limitation. For instance, your ISP can still see your browsing activity. So the website that you can browse also can keep track of your online actions. Still, there is no harm in leveraging, as it is one of the multiple tools for your disposal that increase your anonymity online and protect your privacy. And the most important one is use a VPN. So a VPN creates a private encrypted tunnel of communication on a public internet connection. It enhances your anonymity and privacy by masking your IP address, thus making it hard for anyone to attribute an online action to you. So using a VPN is especially useful when you are browsing the web on a public Wi-Fi such as coffee shop, your school, college, university, or in an airport. Don't click on any link unless you are completely sure of its authenticity. Phishing is one of the oldest and most efficient technique for obtaining confidential information without express authentication. The attacker attempts to deceive an individual into sharing sensitive personal or business information. They do this by sending emails that seem to originate from legitimate sources such as bank, educational institute, government agency, or employee. So it's better to not click any suspicious link. And the last one is protect your mobile devices. So in 2016, the number of mobile internet users surpasses the desktop users. And even nowadays, people have more in mobile devices than they have computers. So they have more risk of this. So it's therefore it's important that you devote so much attention to protecting your privacy on mobile devices so you do on computers. So there's the all of the things that you need to do to maintain your privacy and anonymity using internet on both online, offline, and also public and private network.
Hello everyone. Let's talk about anonymity online and offline. Online anonymity. Anonymity, the basic definition of this term is being without a name. Simply understood, someone is anonymous if his or her identity is not known. Psychologically speaking, being anonymous may be perceived as a reduction in the accountability for the actions performed by the person. Anonymity is also associated with privacy, as sometimes it is desirable not to have a direct link with a specific entity. Let's go to Kali Linux and search who am I? Who am I? Just search who am I? GitHub. Who am I provides enhanced privacy, anonymity for Debian and Arch-based Linux distributions. The purpose of the Who Am I tool makes you as anonymous as possible on Kali Linux. It is an user-friendly with its case of use and simple interface. It follows two different paths to ensure the highest possible level of anonymity. Finally, don't forget that there is never a 100% security on the internet. Look at these features: anti-man in the middle, lock killer, IP changer, DNS changer, MAC changer, anti-cool boot, and many more. And how you guys can getting started: if you do not update your system regularly or have not installed these packages on your system, you will not be able to use the tool. So let's see what we need before installation. So I need some dependencies and installation. First, clone the repo. Git clone this. Just copy this and paste in your Linux terminal. give command git clone, then give paste this link or URL. Now you guys can see who am I, how to install this app on your PC. After completing setup, run the application by typing Kali who am I in the search menu or by typing sudo Kali who am I help in a terminal. Help command and sudo Kali. In today's life, we are surrounded by a lot of cybersecurity tools and we talk about our online anonymity, but are we really anonymous? A single mistake can reveal our anonymity. So, why me? It is a very useful and very simple UI. Generally, these are pre-installed in our Linux, but if you don't have, then you can just simply run the following command I show, and now it ready for further process. You can change your directory if you want and git clone the following URL. How to remain completely anonymous and hidden online. To anonymously use Kali OS for hacking. Anonymity is always a biggest concern for hacker or for doing black box or some organization, as we all are familiar with Tor browser, which is used to surf internet anonymously. Today we will talk about two tools which will help you to make your Kali machine anonymous on internet with some expectation to hostname and MAC address security risks. According to ethical hacking expert of International Institute of Cybersecurity, there are many ways to prevent accidental connections and DNS leaks. Kali Torify instruction and environment. So what is Tor? We use this network to protect ourselves from outside world to be safe. What is transparent proxy? Transparent proxy is placed between users and the internet. The proxy doesn't modify the user's request response. Kali Torify installation steps and environment, and use command sudo apt update and some command and using guidelines in Kali Linux machine. if config.me use command to kali-torify S to check the status of the Tor network and IP status. Now let's try login. Here is output result or IP status. Now let's try login to your Gmail account, as we know that when we try to log into any Gmail account which has security checked for two-step verification, then check your phone, and this is the feedback. Now use command kali-torify R to restart the Tor services and changes, and you find some restart connection. Next use this command and you guys can see this dashboard. Another one is knife, and it is knife installation steps, environment, dependencies. And this is tool execution steps for knife. So, anonymity online, protect your privacy, defend yourself against network surveillance and traffic analysis. Just download Tor, and this is some uses information about Tor. So that's it guys, hope you guys liked it and thanks for watching.
So the first step into the server side attack is to gather information. So information gathering is very important because it will show us the operating system of the target, then install program or running services on the target, the port associated with the services, and etc. Now from these install services we can try to and get into the system. We can do this by trying the default password, and as we seen before in the network penetration testing part, so when the service is installed, it basically gives you the full access to the computer. So if the person still uses the default password which was at the time, we can do this by any other service, and we'll see another example today. So another thing we can do is, there is a lot of people and services, they misconfigure them, and then we'll have enable another example of this. So sometimes a lot of services are designed to give some remote person some access to the computer, but they obviously need to have some security implementation. So people often miss this configure, also miss these services. So we can take advantages of this mystery configuration and gaining access to the computer. So another problem with these services is some of them might even have a backdoor, and installed, and a lot of them would have vulnerabilities such as remote for buffer overflow or code execution vulnerabilities that will allow us to again gain full access to the computer. Now the simplest way of doing this is something that we have seen before and also use them. So we also use them but also not using the IP. So we got a full list of these services, and then Google maybe has each one of them and see if it contains any vulnerabilities. Now to see, I just need to convey the idea of anything in a computer that we have seen or we see before limit us to the devices. So the device is actually a website. It has a website for running. So the websites are nothing different than this. If you want to get an IP of our website, then all you have to do is one thing. If you do like, okay, let's go to our meta exploitable machine, and if you just ping and want to know the IP of your Facebook, just simply type ping facebook.com. As you can see, this is the IP address of Facebook. So we have Facebook IP address that will able to run the nmap and guess it a lot of services that are running on Facebook. Now obviously I'm not going to do that because I'm not allowed to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run a setting up against a meta exploitable device, which is this one. As you can see, meta exploitable, this is another device, and I will be running this meta exploitable device on my Kali Linux machine, which basically is a computer device, and that's where we're going to interested in testing. So again, I cannot really distress this anymore. Anything is a computer, whether it's website, a server, an online service, a phone, everything is a computer. So we can go about penetration testing anything the same way. So I'm going to not only answer but going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to run on my activities that are on running on my meta exploitable device. So let's first know our IP address. So our IP address is, as you can see, 192.168.1.11. So first then let's run our Zenmap. So I'm going to use my meta exploitable IP address, which is, as you can see, this one, and we'll use the intense scan. So it will take some time, and it will give me a list of all the installed application on our meta exploitable device. So let's wait. As you can see, this is still running because as this is a okay, I think it's okay, it's still running. So this is the same way that you need to do for all of those services that you want to know. So let's wait for a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, I think. Okay, it's nearly done. Okay, let's start from here. So just if you want to do a simple test, what you have to do, you have to just do the port read. As you can see, there are lots of ports are running in here. As you can see, lots of open port for both SSH, Telnet, FTP, HTTP, and all of those TCP protocols. So let's go for nmap output. So for example, we have port 21. As you can see, the port 21 is open, which is an FTP port. So FTP is a service that I allow to install or allow to upload or download files from the remote server. So we can see usually FTP service uses a username and password, but you can see the service is misconfigured and it allows anonymous login. As you can see, logged in as FTP. So we can see usually FTP servers are like this. So unlike the SSH that we used before in the network penetration testing that we had, so we had to use default password with this, but you will be able to log in without a password using FTP. in our meta exploitable machine. So if you just copy this, the version name, and search it in our Google. So let's search it. As you can see, this is the backdoor command execution. So you can literally Google this and see if it has any issues and it has any misconfiguration, and it will show any of the code execution exploit. And as you can see, this has backdoor command execution. So this has a factor that has installed on it. So let's make it shorter. Let's use port 512. So let's look on the port 512 and let's copy it and search it to see what it shows in Google. As you can see, we couldn't find anything that we reached on port 512. As you can see, 512 is open, but we couldn't search anything. So literally I don't know what's this, but if you copy and Google this, and they will see a result in here, and we can see that this is a remote execution program. So that's very nice, that's cool. So if you manage to log in with this, you will be able to execute command on the target computer that it uses as RSH or login. So that's a program that ships with the Linux that allow you similarly like SSH. So you can in a way it will let you execute remote command on the target computer. So let's go back and see. Okay, let's just delete this and search. As you can see, this is from Ubuntu. As you can see, we are also running on Ubuntu. As you can see, this machine is based on Ubuntu, our meta exploitable machine. So it is a services client service to connect, and this RSS service that you need to install to connect to the server. So let's go to our terminal and install our RSH service. So what you have to do when you need to install any program, you need to just type apt get install and name of the client, which is RHS client. As you can see, it's installing and it will take some time, but it will install automatically. So our RSS client is installed, so we need to configure it. So just type RSS client named as rlogin, RSH. Okay, let's type rlogin and let's see the help option. RSH client RSH So okay. So I think it's with R login ROLIN minus help. As you can see, this is the uses option that you can use using R login. So R login, this is the minus character. So minus E for character, I for user, L for user, and P for port. So once it installed, you can use R login to login, because remember the first page of all of this is R login program to facilitate the login process. So if you just type this one, so R login minus L, or we want to use the root access and we want to use our meta explorable machine, which is IP address as you can see 11, then it will, as you can see, we are right now into our meta explorable machine. You can see type ID to see, as you can see we are right now on root, and if you type pwd, and also you can see we are right now in our root folder. So we can access from here using this rlogin method to remote control our meta exploitable machine. As you can see, meta exploitable, this is right now in meta exploitable mode. So the key point in here is to remove a bscan and then go on and search for each port that you want to find on the Google, and you will be looking for the misconfiguration or default password. So if this target service came in a backdoor or code execution, maybe it wasn't programmed properly. So all it had a flaw, and we can use this to gain access to the computer similarly like we did in our meta exploitable machine. Now that's all for it for our information gathering part.
You guys can see this type of dashboard in Martigo. So Martigo, any open source assessment is not complete without the use of Martigo. It's an integral part of OSINT. We already discussed a lot about this tool earlier and discussed how to utilize it to extract data using it. The reason Martigo is very popular and widely used is not just its cool features but also its data representation. Multigo has different set of views such as main view, bubble view and entity view, and we can also change the type of view. The result looks very easy to understand as different types of icons are used for different types of entities and their relations are well expressed by the arrows. Multigo represents all the information is a nice and easy to understand entity relationship mode. Apart from extracting data using various transforms and machines, we can also take the data we have found from other sources and include it into the graph to create a bigger picture. For that, we simply need to take the appropriate entity type from the left entity bar and bring it into the graph. Then insert the data we have found and simply connect it to be relevant. So person to a site. For this example, we will using a machine person email address. Let's take an entity of type person and assign it a value, whatever, Andrew McPherson or anyone, and run the machine on its entity. The machine will start to enumerate associated email IDs using different transforms. Once it has completed running one set of transforms, it will provide us the opinion to move forward with selected entities enumerated till now. From the above example, we know a email is a valid email address, so we will go ahead with this specific entity only. What we get as an end result is website where this specific email address occurs by running the transform to website using search engine as a part of the machine. The examples shown clearly demonstrate the power of this sophisticated tool. Running a series transforms or a machine can enumerate a lot of data, which can be very helpful during a pen test or a threat modeling exercise. Extracting a specific type of data from another data type can be done in different way using different series. So let's download Multigo. So now Jahid Sabi, a target account from Twitter, simply copy the URL and paste it on Multigo. I take this site and all investigations in Multigo are based on and begin with transforms and entities. So this is the dashboard of Multigo. Transforms are bits of code which when run generate information based on information we already have. We call this information entities. Look, here is entities. Transforms search for information related to an entity on the graph and allow you to query an API or database to show related information on the graph. So this is my Multigo Kali Linux edition. Take a new graph here. Entities are represented as nodes on a graph. Investigations start with one or more entities upon which we run transforms to explore the relationships between these entities and other, yet unknown pieces of information. So here is banner, DNS name, system server, domain, IP addresses, netblack, URL, tracking code, website, whatever you can attack. So you can attack by email, image, person phone number, social network. The Multigo standard transforms include 39 entity types and many hub items will also include new entity types when installed. You can also create your own custom entities to use with your own custom transforms. Any properties and values can be set for this entity, and you can even inherit from another entity. The transforms from the parent entity will work with the child entity by default, and its properties and values can also be easily inherited. The most basic entity in Multigo has a type, for example, a website or email address, and a value. The value of a website could be www.multigo.com, and the value of the mail address could be support@multigo.com. They can also include things like calculated static and dynamic properties, bookmarks, notes. This is my target website. The multi-standard transforms are the default OSINT transforms that ship with every Multigo desktop client. These include transforms for gathering OSINT from common sources on the internet, such as queries on DNS servers, search engines, social networks, various APIs, and other sources. With over 150 transforms, the multi-standard transforms enable investigations to perform a vast range of standard use cases on Multigo, including I run transforms in my targeted website. Many options is here, like phone numbers, website mentioning, domain, all the transforms. So you can choose any of them. The Martigo built with transforms provide the current and historic technologies which websites are built upon. These transforms are particularly useful for discovering relationship between websites and for retrieving the details on how these are related, as well as the duration of the relation. A transform developer's task is to write the logic that translates between a transform request sent from Multigo and the data being accessed. The data can be in the form of databases like MySQL. So this is the relationship between google.com. Here is the overview. In the top right corner, the Multigo desktop application removes much of the complexity of working with linked graphs, such as merging duplicate nodes, updating layouts, and visualizing the entities. The transform developer therefore need only be connected with extracting the request object and querying the data. There is a significant requirement to liaise with the transform designer and investigations requiring the information to build transforms that will be useful. So it's IP version 4.
So guys, in this lecture we'll be talking about information gathering, mostly on passive information gathering. So passive information gathering is the process of collecting information about your target using publicly available information. This could include services like search engine result, WHOIS information, background check service, public company information. In other words, any act of gathering information about your target without communicating with them directly that can be considered passive. As with anything in life, preparation leads to success. So successfully for us, this means that the more information that we manage to gather about our target, prior to our attack, the more likely that we will be succeed. A good example of passive information gathering occurred during a penetration attempt on a small company. It could be happen, and it could be happen to many small to large company as well. So let's now talk about web information gathering. So once we engage, or once the engagement starts, so let's go first to google.com, because as we are using web information gathering, how do they interact with the world? Do they have to sales dependent? Are they hiring? Browse the organization website and look for general information such as contact information, phone and fax number, emails, company structure, and so on. Also, be sure to look for the sites, the link of the target site. So first, the Google search engine is the security auditor's best friend. Best friend because especially when it comes to information gathering, it can enumerate with Google. So Google has a couple of the tools that it can enumerate, like if you just search Microsoft, then it will show you all of the results of Microsoft as well as different website. But if I just type site Microsoft.com, it will only show me the result only on Microsoft. As you can see, .microsoft.com, .microsoft.com. So all of those are domains of Microsoft. So we use this site parameter to limit the result that Google will show you only the Microsoft.com domain. So on this particular day, Google indexed around 67 million pages of this Microsoft domain. As you can see, you can go on and go on. Okay, as you can see, lots of more results of this domain. Now most of the results coming back to us originate from www.microsoft.com, which is the and subdomain of each of these. As you can see, subdomain, subdomain, subdomain. So let's filter it out to see what subdomain may exist at microsoft.com. So just type site microsoft.com, then again site www.microsoft.com. So these two examples, as you can see, now we have only these domains. So these two simple queries have revealed quite a lot of bit of background information about the Microsoft.com domain, such as a general idea about their internet presence and the list of the web accessible subdomains. So that's easy. So now let's use couple of other tools, like also you can use of hundreds of interesting searches that can be made, and many of them are listed in a Google hacking database, which is GHDB. So there are lots of exploit database you can find in here, both for Google. As you can see, initiate index of Google, and all of those are Google database vulnerabilities. So you can go and do that. So you can use additional resources by which are available on Kali Linux inside of this Kali Linux tool. So let's see or use couple of the tools. So one is Netcraft. The first one is Netcraft. So the Netcraft is an internet monitoring based on England. So Netcraft can be used to indirectly find out information about web server on the internet, including the underlying operating system, web server version, uptime graphs, and so on. Then we can use which enumeration. So I know which is this one. So which is the name for a TCP service, a tool, and a type of database. So which database contain name, server, register, and in some cases full contact information about a domain name. So each register must contain a which database containing all contact information for domain they host. So let's search for one. So let's use this which to see how this works. So just type which, then a website that I want to use. So like I am using megascorpon.com. No address. Okay, let's use a different website like Soccerway, one of my favorite football website. So I will use this website. So let's say with, as you can see, they show me a lot of those information in here, and also the name, servers, domain name, and lots of useful information. So the which client can be performed as a reverse lookup rather than an inputting a domain name. It can provide an IP address as a result. So let's use which on my IP address 192.168.1.1. So as you can see, this is my IP address, this is the host name, parent, net type, and all of those information on my IP address. So it can use both on domain and also both on IP address. So notice how both register and the hosting provider are shown on those which IP addresses. All as you can see, lots of results you can see inside of this which information. So that goes another one. So there is another one you can find which is ReconNG. So as described at this author, ReconNG is a full feature web reconnaissance. As I was saying, so ReconNG provides a powerful environment which is open source web-based reconnaissance, can be contacted quickly and thoroughly. So ReconNG has a look and feel similar to the Metasploit framework, reducing to the learning curve for leveraging the framework. So let's use ReconNG to quickly compile a list of interesting data. So we'll be using the WHISPOC module to come up with the employee name and email address at Cisco. So just type use recon slash contact con p1tsets contacts slash gather slash http slash api slash with underscore for invalid comment. Use recon gather http api with show options. Okay, let's search for who is POC recon ng. I think this vulnerable has been fixed, so that's why it cannot use this framework or this data. So let's okay, so I did some things. So as you can see, so first what you have to do in your Recon, you have to create a workspaces. So I just create my workspaces name as hacker target. Then I create a show options to see how you can do in here, and then show module. Then we need to source our website that you want to search. So just simply types open set source tesla.com as an example I used. So if you type info, and you can see you can use all of those that information you can get in here. Also the source, which is a tesla.com. So let's see, just typing run, it will see, as you can see, all of those information IP address and gather all of those passive information in here using this recon ng tool. So there is also a couple of the modules that you can find in recon ng, but also many of the modules in recon ng require API keys with their respective service provider. So take some time and check out the recon ng and some various other modules. That's all. So that's all about the passive information gathering.
Hello there. So today I'll talk about Netcraft, a phishing protection. So first go to their website netcraft.com. Then you see like this interface. So here is some option, a demo. You can go by a demo request. Netcraft is an internet services company based in the United Kingdom which provides internet security services including cybercrime disruption, application security testing, and automated vulnerabilities testing. So what's the site running? Here you give a website name, targeted website name. So duet.edu.pk, it's a Pakistani university website. Netcraft sends the URL of the site in a verification server. Cracking the URL is not performed through a secure connection. So here is all the resources about this website. You can see here site, network, net block owner, domain, name server, IP addresses, DNS admin, domain register, name server organization hosting company top level domain, DNS security extensions, hosting country, all the information you need, all the sources you can find here. Here is protection SSL or TLS. All the option is here. Public key algorithm, certificate check, signature algorithm, serial number, version number, protocol version. And another great source of information is Netcraft. Start by searching for your target in the what's the site running text box, as I can show starting the video. Netcraft will return any websites it is aware of that contain your search words. In our example, we are presented this website, and if any of these sites have escaped, it is important to add them to our potential target list. So, certificate transparency. Here is the hosting history in my targeted website joet.edu.pk. Here you can see which operating system is running. WebTracker are third-party resources loaded, and here you can see also client side includes all the main technologies that run on the browser, such as JavaScript and Adobe Flash. Technology PHP is supported and are running XML, SSL. A cryptographic protocol providing communication security over the internet. Server security. Attacking or assuming companies over the internet has changed over the years. It has shifted from accessing a multitude of services to accessing just a handful. The tools and techniques that we will discuss should give you a good understanding of the types of vulnerabilities that may exist on the web servers and within web applications. Here you can see client-side scripting frameworks or libraries. All the information, each and every information what you need to attack a website or web application, you can trace them by searching Netcraft. Here you can see how protective website is this. Character encoding. A character encoding system consists of a code that pairs each character from a given repertoire with something else, such as a beat pattern, sequence of natural numbers, technology, and description. Here you can see technology, another technology, doc type. So this is how actually you can track or gathering information in any website by using netcraft. So in front end, the developer use css for styling sheet, and here is this information also. You can find any each of and every silly or large information about website, your targeted website, by using netcraft. Any resources. So that's it for today. Hope you guys liked it. Hello everyone. So today's topic is Multigo. All investigations in Multigo are based on and begin with transforms and entities. So this is the dashboard of Multigo. Transforms are bits of code which, when run, generate information based on information we already have. We call this information entities. Look, here is entities. Transforms search for information related to an entity on the graph and allow you to query an API or database to show related information on the graph. So this is my Multigo Kali Linux edition. Take a new graph here. Entities are represented as nodes on a graph. Investigations start with one or more entities upon which we run transforms to explore the relationships between these entities and other, yet unknown pieces of information. So here is banner, DNS name, system server, domain, IP addresses, netblack, URL, tracking code, website, whatever you can attack. So you can attack by email, image, person phone number, social network. The Multigo standard transforms include 39 entity types, and many hub items will also include new entity types when installed. You can also create your own custom entities to use with your own custom transforms. Any properties and values can be set for this entity, and you can even inherit from another entity. The transforms from the parent entity will work with the child entity by default, and its properties and values can also be easily inherited. The most basic entity in Multigo has a type, for example, a website or email address, and a value. The value of a website could be www.multigo.com, and the value of the mail address could be support@multigo.com. They can also include things like calculated, static, and dynamic properties, bookmarks, notes. This is my target website. The multi standard transforms are the default OSINT transforms that ship with every Multigo desktop client. These include transforms for gathering OSINT from common sources on the internet, such as queries on DNS servers, search engines, social networks, various APIs, and other sources. With over 150 transforms, the multi-standard transforms enable investigations to perform a vast range of standard use cases on Multigo including. Now I run transforms in my targeted website. Many options is here, like phone numbers, website mentioning, domain, all the transforms. So you can choose any of them. The Multigo built with transforms provide the current and historic technologies which websites are built upon. These transforms are particularly useful for discovering relationship between websites and for retrieving the details on how these are related, as well as the duration of the relation. A transform developer's task is to write the logic that translates between a transform request sent from Multigo and the data being accessed. The data can be in the form of databases like MySQL. So this is the relationship between google.com. Here is the overview. In the top right corner, the Multigo desktop application removes much of the complexity of working with linked graphs, such as merging duplicate nodes, updating layouts, and visualizing the entities. The transform developer therefore need only be connected with extracting the request object and querying the data. There is a significant requirement to liaise with the transform designer and investigations requiring the information to build transforms that will be useful. So it's IP version 4 addresses, Multigo IP address, Multigo uses an XML based protocol between the desktop clients and the TDS, as well as between the TDS and the transform server. A transform developer can choose to directly read and interpret the XML based transform request and respond with the required XML response message using a basic web server. Host a basic HTTP server with the transform logic. Translate the XML transform request message to Python objects that are easier to work with. Look all the entities relationship with each other: website address, email address, and domain. And here is your output. This is not much complex for beginner, but a little bit. A very useful software, Multigo. Hello there. So Multigo can be used to determine the relationships between the following entities: people, names, email addresses, aliases, groups of people, social networks, companies, organizations, websites, internet infrastructure such as domain, DNS names, net blocks, IP addresses, applications, documents, and files. In this tutorial, I detail a network footprinting methodology while demonstrating how investigators can use Multigo to implement it. Multigo largely automates the information gathering process, thus saving a lot of time for the attacker, as we will see in this Multigo. Now I can show you this. So Multigo is an open source tool so that allows you to mine and gather information and represent your findings in a meaningful way. And it is one of the best information gathering and data mining tools. In Multigo alone, users can query all types of data. Multigo empowers investigators worldwide to speed. So this is my targeted website, www.housec.com. Increase the precision of their investigations through easy data integration in a single interface, aided by powerful visualization and collaborate capabilities to quickly zero in on relevant information. So here is all the transforms. You can attack by email, IP addresses, DNS, tracking codes. Actually, Multigo is a proven tool that has been downloaded by almost 1 million commercial and community users worldwide since its first launch in 2008. Due to its wide range of possible use cases ranging from threat intelligence to fraud investigations, Multigo is used by a broad audience from security professionals and presenters. So start the background scanning. So I take another entity. One of the routine tasks Multigo is used for by analysts and experts worldwide is infrastructure footprinting on an organization's network, also known as reconnaissance footprinting is the technique employed to gather information such as IP addresses regarding a specific network environment, usually with the purpose of revealing vulnerabilities indicators. So let's check this information relationship between all the email in this website. In this tutorial I detail the network footprinting. The first phase is security assessment is to focus on collecting as much information as possible about a target application. According to OWASP, information gathering is a necessary step of a penetration on test. The more information, the higher the success rate. There are basically two types of information gathering: active and passive. Passive information gathering is where the attackers won't be contacting the target directly and will be trying to gather information that is available on the internet, whereas in active information gathering the attacker will be directly contacting the target and will be trying to gather more information. So information gathering is generally done on infrastructure and on people. In infrastructure recon, the attackers generally try to find the information about the host, mail, exchanger record, name server record, shared resources, or many things. So here I create a relational entities between this website. With Multigo, I can find the relationships which people are linked to, including their social profile, mutual friends, companies that are related to the information gathered, and websites. If I want to gather information related to any infrastructure, I can gather relationship between domains, DNS names, and net blocks. I send the request to speed seed servers in XML format over HTTPs. The request from the seed server is given to the case servers, which are passed on to the service providers. The request results are given back to the Multigo client. So I gathered many information is here. You look, once the transforms are updated, investigate tab and select the desired options from the plate. There are two main categories in the plate: infrastructure and personal. I can also import other entities to the plate. As example is Sodan entity. So as you know, Multigo helps you find information about a person like their email address, social profiles, mutual friends, various files shared on various URLs. Select the desired option from the plate. Here I am going to select the option and make all the connected links in this website. So similarly, I can find if the user has uploaded any files in Pastabin or other public URLs having all the information can be useful for performing a social engaging based attack. So let's zoom this and see what I made. So I gathered so many information in howco.com. So you can run transform by right clicking. So this is all the information is here. Watch the video carefully and try it by your own. So that's it for today. So hello there. No, we are not trying to hack Google. So in this video concept we know about basic advanced Google search. So what is Google designed to do? What does Google do? Google queries, the limits. 32 words. Google Advanced Search is a more detailed method of finding information on Google. It uses a variety of Google search operations that consists of spatial characters, and spatial commands, also known as advanced operators that goes beyond normal Google search. Google Advanced Search lets you cut through internet clutter, and there's no shortage of clutter on the internet, to zero in on exactly the search result you are looking for. So let's check. If we search Google Advanced Search, there's some option. Google Advanced Search, how can you use this feature? Now come to setting. Here is Advanced Search option. You can search here. Just have a look. Advanced Search option. This exact word phrase, any of these words, narrow result, languages, regional last update, site domain, file type, say search, terms and appearing, all the options you find. Let's write World Web. So you can find any result. World Web, you can find each and every result. So basic operators. So single word versus combining words using the colon, Boolean operators, spatial characters, Batman, Dark Knight. It's just example. Dark Knight, semicolon, Batman, Batman and Dark Knight. Under the surface, the Dark Knight and spatial character carry a hyphen. For anyone that's been doing SEO for a while, Google Advanced Search Operators, special commands that make regular searches. Google search operators are like secret cheat codes that help you to get more relevant search results. You still type your search into the Google search bar, but with search operators, you add a bit of text that turns into shorthand for special instructions about the search. This, for example, when gauging the amount of content dedicated to a specific topic, you can filter out 90% of less focused content. Here's an advanced search operator that tells Google that you are looking for content on SEO. What is SEO? Search engine optimization. Now have a look about advanced operators. Cache, display Google's cached version. Link, show a list of web pages that have links to your target. Related, similar web pages. Related similar web pages. Information, view information Google has on the target site, limits results to just the domain listed. With just one advanced operator, advanced search, you go from 730 million results. It's unbelievable. 700. Have a look. This, I just search a critical thing in Google, advanced search. You search MSN, Windows, Live Search, Bing Search, and MSN. Find pages that contain certain keywords. Find course and force accurate results for long tail keywords. Just anything or type hacking word. By the help of advanced operators, you find accurate result you want. Find out the Google is categorized your site quickly, gauge the competitives of long tail keywords, find sites that have a specific keyword in the URL, advanced options, all in title, limits results to these websites with all the search words in the title, then link in title, limits result to documents that contain the search word in the title, all in URL, limits results to find all search words in the URL. So that's it for today. Hello there. Today I'll talk about in URL search, and welcome to Advanced Google 2 Part 2. In URL finds pages with a certain word in the URL, all in URL, similar to in URL. This finds web pages containing all of the URL specific words in text, find pages containing a specific word in the content. Now have a look. Let's search in URL. Now I wanna go in URL slash admin. Many pages there. Click on admin login. Have a look. Now in URL admin login page. Have a look. You can find this. If I submit, it's blank. Now some devices and appliances default setting accessible via browser, application defaults, internet, printing, internet, cameras, server defaults, directories, entitled index of admin directories, find specific files like logs, password files, by file extension, web servers, directory traversal, extension working. The in-URL search query is one of Google's search operators intended to allow users to find down the results. It can be used quite simply by entering. The in-URL search operator lets you search for the word directly after the clone in any URL on the internet. If you include in URL in your query, Google will restrict the results to documents containing that word in the URL. For instance, want to see only pages that have your keyword in their title, use the entitled search operator just before the keyword. You can use symbols or words in your search to make your search results more precious. Google search usually ignores it. The URL operator searches for specific text in the indexed URLs. You can pair a site with in URL, and you can find database by a website exploit database. So if I search Google hacking database is an index of search queries. Exploit database, it actually exploit database. Has the Dropbox, web server detection, files containing usernames, files containing password, files containing juice information, error messages, vulnerable servers, network or vulnerability data, various online devices, all the thing you find here. The website is exploit.db.com. Entitled Index of Dropbox. Google hacking, also named Google dorking, is a hacker technique that uses Google search and other Google applications to find security holes. It's actually a categorized index of internet search engine queries designed to uncover interesting things. Now if I search this, here you can download the Explorer database archive mode. Is there some remote option, web application option, local and privilege? Here's the remote code. So many more remote code is here. Here's the code and File Security Manager client session in web application exploits. Here is the code and path. As some article for privilege. You can check everything, you can find everything here about database hacking. Now go to another website. Okay, now Google utility belt loaded. Go link scanner, Google hack, honeypot, search, dig day, go scan, meta go fill, site digger. View of the utility belt with first trans in a circular condition. The attachable push is shown in Phantom comparison. Google Arts and Culture features content from over 2000 leading archives who have partnered with Google Cultural Institute.
Hello everyone. So in this lecture we're going to be talking about the Edgar and RIR. So let's first talk about Edgar. So Edgar is electronic data gathering, analysis and retrieval. So Edgar is the electronic filing system that created by Security and Exchange Commission to increase the efficiency and accessibility of corporate filings. The system is used by all publicly traded companies when submitted requires documents to the SEC. Corporate documents are time sensitive and creation of Edgar has greatly decreased the time it takes for corporate documents to become publicly available. Understanding Edgar. Under the Security Act of 1933, the public companies are required to publish their financial data every 3 months. Although this information was theoretically available to all investors, it was difficult to access the age of paper in that communication. The SEC began developing an electronic reporting system in the early 1980s to launching its first pilot in 1984. The first operational Edgar system was launched in 1992, but electronic reporting was still voluntarily at the time of beginning of 1993. The Commission began to face in the requirement of electronic filing. Using the Edgar system. The Edgar consists of a searchable database with more than 20 years of electronic filing. Users can search for database in the same manner as an online search, using either the name of the company or an individual. Search result can be found narrowed down by the date, location of the company's executive offices, or the types of files that were sought. In addition of the company data, Edgar can also be used to search the mutual funds, variable insurance product, or confidential trading orders. These are the orders that restricted access to the data that is otherwise required to be filled. So there are a couple of advantages and disadvantages of Edgar. So the advantages of Edgar is a drawback to the Edgar system is that the filling that are highly stripped down and often difficulty to read compared to the annual report received by the shareholders. All the information is contained in the filling, but details can be difficult to find in one huge text file. However, the information is always structured in the same way regardless of which the company filed the information. So there are pros and cons. So the pros will be like provide a simple repository for public fillings, and then allow easy access to 20 plus years of corporate financial data as well as mutual funds and variable investment funds or products. And cons or disadvantages will be like search function that can be clumsy and cluttered and similar sounding companies, and it may be easier to find reports to the web page of the reporting country or company. Documents that are accessed using Edgar and filled with the SEC include quarterly and annual corporation report and financial statement. So annual reports from 10 to K includes company history, audited financial statement, a description of product and services, and an annual review of the organization, its operation and the company market. From reports 10Q includes unauthenticated financial statement and information about the company's operation in the previous 3 months. Other reports that are often searched by the investors are registration statement, which are required before the stock can be sold to public, which discloses the notable events such as bankruptcy, which contain the ownership information and which reports the transaction and not reported back. In 2016, a Ukrainian hacker used stolen login credential to access filling of the Edgar system that had not yet been released. This information was then passed on the traders who were able to trade on the advanced knowledge of company and reporting the figures before they were published. So the bottom line is Edgar is a convenient way to access the electronic report of any public company in the United States. However, The search function can be clumsy, but it is far from intuitive. In the age of internet, much more data can be found just by easily on a company's website. Now let's talk about RIRS. So regional internal registries. So there are 5 regional internal registries in the world. So RIR is manage, distribute and register Internet Number Protocol, which is IPv4 and IPv6 within their respective regions. Each RIR operates as not-for-profit member-based association in its respective region in accordance with the law of the country in which it is located. RIRs is distributed internet number resources according to the policies developed by the respective regional community using established open and inclusive and bottom-up policy development process, which is PDP. Member elected board govern each RIR. Then board provides fidelity oversight, strategic guidance and verification of the policy development process. The NRO, the Number Resources Organization, was established in 2003 as a coordinating body of the 5 regional internet registries to act on a matter of global importance to all 5 RIRs. To participate in the global internet governance activities and coordinates joint programs across the global RIS system. Within their respective regions, RIRs provide service to administer, manage, distribute and register the internet number resources mainly to their members. The global RIR system ensures that each internet number resource is uniquely assigned to one party to ensure a smooth function to the internet and that they are distributed based on justified need. So how the RIR distribute internet number resources within their regions is defined by the policies that each RIR's community develop using their own PDP. RIR members are comprised of internet service provider, which is ISPs, governments, universities, civil society, end users, for profit and non-profit enterprises of all sizes and across all business sectors. Members pay fees to the RIR based type and then amount of service they require. Each RIR sets its own membership requirements and fees. So that's all about RIR and registry regional internet registries.
Hello there. So what is ICMP? Basically, ICMP is the Internet Control Message Protocol. The Internet Control Message Protocol is a supporting protocol in the Internet Protocol Suite. It is used by network devices, including routers, to send error messages and optional information. So here you look how can a host or server redirect ICMP. The Internet Control Message Protocol is a network layer protocol used by network devices to diagnose network communication issues. The ICMP is a protocol that devices within a network use. Now let's have a look in IP scanner. Install IP scan to find out your IP. Here is IP range. Angry IP scanner install. Now you can start and scan IP for your web hacking. ICMP is an error reporting protocol also that network devices such as routers use to generate error messages. So you can find out IP now. Check that green marks. Here is your server, your IP, your Windows server, your IP, and your Windows server and IP. Now scan and check. Total time 2 minutes. Now give a command. Open your Windows command prompt. Now open your CMD and search. Just type ping, P-I-N-G. Here you look. One received lost. Now we have need nmap. So let's install nmap setup. Give all the tick mark. Just search Google nmap and you can find nmap, then download it and install it. Okay, complete nmap. What is nmap? How to use nmap, a beginner's guide. Nmap is an open source network mapping tool developed by Jordan Leon. It is widely used as a port scanner and host discovery tool by network administrators and hackers worldwide. The reason for its popularity is that it allows users to perform powerful scans using a combination of small set of options. Using only these options, you can run effective and powerful scans by running specially scripted commands. But even if you are not familiar with Nmap, you can still use it by executing simple commands. These will also allow you to get a new good scan result. However, if you want your scans to be more accurate, then you need to learn more about Nmap and how to use it correctly. This is what this post aims to do. Now come LDAP operation types. So what is LDAP? Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. The Lightweight Directory Access Protocol is an open vendor natural industry standard application protocol for accessing and maintaining distributed directory information services over an internet protocol network. So its operation type, LDAP operation type, adds new entire directory server database, validates the authentication state and changes it from unbind abort outstanding operations and ends their connections, modify using information already stored in database, search and compare searches for entries based on their name, size, scope, type, and attributes. So this is how LDAP directory worked. Passed username, password, API, REST API service connected both username and LDAP directory. So here is the application, client and directory server, how it works. Application request and replay, directory client TCP, then it connected with directory server. Application sender, directory receiver, then what you want, just give and replay this information to the application client. How LDAP works basically? So business application, LDAP directory connected with email service, user accounts, authentication, license management. Okay, now come to NTP. What is NTP? Network Time Protocol. NTP is a networking protocol for clock synchronizing between computer systems over packet switched variable latency data network. Stratum 0, Stratum 1 to Stratum 2, Stratum 3. Stratum 0 atomic GPS not connected to the internet. Stratum 1 connected to the Stratum 0 clocks, the first level of time servers, and Stratum 3, Stratum 2 reference the number of Stratum 1 servers, and NTP algorithm may drop a server if the network connection is poor. Stratum 3 and the lower stratum. So have a look. Authoritative clock source and all stratum 1 to stratum 3 have it connected with each other. Here first layer of what is NTP, network time protocol, used to keep clock within your nodes, important for log files, transaction servers, various application position system, mobile phones like GSM transaction systems, time critical operations that needed to be stratum labels, all the labels I lectured about previous slide. DCF double send receivers, LW radio carriers as reference, available at very low price from various places. GSM time reference uses GPS satellite. So here NTP client machines, Ethernet connection and user connected with the NTP server via one internet, then again one, then public NTP pool time server. Just have a look. Now come to SMTP. So what is SMTP? What is SMTP? Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. SMTP server. Every email client interfaces to send email. List of SMTP servers in transit. Check the headers on your email. Why talk directly to SMTP server? Automation of emails in application without dependency, and other email client, real-time notification of status, wrong ID password, etc. So it's basically a simple mail transfer protocol for electronic mail transmission. Mail servers and other messages transfer agents use SMTP to send and receive mail messages. SMTP email, how it works: sender, a terminal, user agent, then send mails into message transfer agent, who is client, then connected to TCP collection, then again message transfer agent MTA server, then user mailbox, user agent, user a terminal receiver. So how the diagram is work, how the total work is finished, just have a look. Sender user terminal and receiver user terminal. Most internet systems use SMTP as a method to transfer mail from one user to another. SMTP is a push protocol and is used to send mail. See the process, SMTP process. SMTP client server, DNS server is sender. Then connected SMTP, MTA, then recipient. SMTP server mail stores. Okay, now come SNMP. What is SNMP? The Simple Network Management Protocol. SNMP is an application layer protocol that facilitates the exchange of management information between a network management system, agents, and managed devices. SNMP uses the Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol, TCP or IP protocol suite. SNMP is a part of Internet Network Architecture. SNMP enables network administrators to manage network performance, find and solve network problems, and plan for network growth. It's actually a network management protocol. So SNMP is a framework that provides facilities for managing and monitoring network resources on the internet. Components of SNMP: SNMP agents, SNMP managers, management information bases, MIBS, and SNMP protocol itself. So have a look. SNMP manager connected with SNMP agent, SNMP agent, SNMP agent. SNMP protocol message: the manager passed through the message. So what are SNMP traps? Simple Network Management Protocol. SNMP is a protocol used for devices monitoring. Common SNMP enabled devices including routers, switches, servers, and modems. SNMP traps include information on alerts and problems. SNMP traps include the error time and
So we logged into our DBWA web page using a admin username and password as password to get access this DBWA's web server. So let's go and set up our create a database just to make sure everything is working. So you can go set up and then create or reset your database. So I have already done that, so my database is already resetted. So now what we have to do is we have to turn our DBWA security as low, because we will use low security so that we can try a few different types of attack. So the first one is going to be a cross-site scripting or XSS reflected attack. So I am using on my Kali Linux as and Firefox in this machine. So let's see how the script works. So if I say my name like Akash, then submit, I can see that first of all it does a couple of things. It says hello Akash, and because I'm using low security, not only it reflects on the screen just to print whatever I type, it also include in the URL, as you can see. So it named in here. So what I said my name is like another one, which is Tanjum. So if I say my name Tanjim in here, let's see what it does. As you can see, it also printed my name in screen. So as you can see, I have already tapped a script down here. So I'm just going to use a script, which is a very simple script, which is this one, which is a very simple script. So in here I am keeping it as blank, so it will print and show as blank, and it will show a pop-up also. So let's run the script. As you can see, it shows nothing in here because the brackets had been blank. So if I say something like your site has been hacked in those blanks bracket, so let's see what it does. As you can see, it also shows as a pop-up that, and also got notified that your site has been hacked. Because it actually ran this script, and I put like a text inside of this script, which is, as you can see, this text or this show up in here whenever you run this in our reflected XSS screen. So whatever we put in those brackets will be printed and show you as a pop-up every time you run the script. So let's test out this on our XSS store. So you can do whatever you like to name in here. You have to put a name, like let's name nothing as a random, and let's put the same text that we put in our reflected XSS. So let's put in here and sign the guest book, and as you can see, you have been hacked. But the thing is, it just not only loaded in, so every time you load this page it will show up. As you can see, every time it will show up, even not only from this machine, it will show up even from another machine. So as you can see, I am currently on, this is my, so let's first log out. So this is my Ubuntu machine, so this is another machine. So let's log in again and go to XSS store. As you can see, so every time anyone or any person visit this page, this will load up. So everything you did in those script will show up in here, in every other machine. Even anyone with that page can show up this. So every person that visit this page will show up this message or the script that you run on this text field. So we're saying all of this because it's stored my script in this page. That's why it's every time I come to this page, it will load up this script and it will show up this message. So instead of putting a comment every time I come this page, so there is a pretty simple example here. Is just one simple script that you can insert that really a complex script in here that pop up as a fake or virus. So you can pick a script that will save as a virus or any payload. You can simply just run this, and every time any person who will visit this page, then they will be affected with that payload. So that's how this XSS stored and XSS cross-site vulnerability works. So it's all about your script, how or what script you load in this text field. So it will work on any script you want. Like if you have a script like this, so if you want to if you don't want to just show this text box, you can just simply use windows dot location. So what this will does is it will simply, after loading this page, because this is already saved in our database, so after loading this, it will simply go to this website. So sometimes we see in other or any websites that we visit that sometimes when you click a website, it simply or randomly open another website. That's because they use a script with that page similarly like this, that will simply go to the specific website that we typed in here. So simply this will redirect this web address that someone or some person put on their script. So that's how this actual XSS script works. So unfortunately, we can do even more complicated things besides just alert and with another just window.location, and we can actually set people up for hacking through a company's web page or website. An easy way in PHP to protect against this is to strip the tags so that no one can interact directly to the web page. We'll talk more about that in our next lectures to see how this SQL injection examples works. So SQL injection and SQL injection blind we'll be seeing in our next lectures. Hello everyone. So in this lecture we are going to start talking about website hacking. Now website hacking is really a big topic. So now we are going to focus on the topic that are related to the programming. So first of all, we are going to learn how website work, how technology is used, the request and the responses, and we are going to learn how to communicate with website from our Python program. So once done with that, we are going to start writing some useful information like gathering tools, and we are going to write program to discover files, directories, subdomains, and a program that can be used to map the whole website and discover all links within a target website. So we are going to write a program that can be used to guess login information in any login page. So as we do this, you are going to learn how to read the HTML code of any web page, analyze it, extract the useful part from it. Web application penetration testing. Before we can start talking about that, we need to understand what is a website. And just like I said before, a website is just an application that installed on a computer, and that computer probably just has better specs than many computers. But fundamentally it works exactly like another computer. So it has an operating system, and it also has a number of applications to allow it to act as a web server. So the main two applications that it probably has is web server and a website or web database. So web server is like Apache and the database is like MySQL, and these are the web server. Basically understand and executed the web application. So your application would be written in PHP or Python or any programming language really. So the only thing that the website needs is to able to understand and execute the web application. The database contains the data used by the web application. So all of this is stored on a computer called the server, and the computer is connected to the internet and it has a real IP address. So anybody can access the computer, can ping it. So the web application is executed by the web server, which is installed on your server on your target. Therefore, anytime when you execute or request a page or you run the web application, it actually executed on the web server and is not executed on the client's computer. So it get executed on the web server and it sends the HTML page which is ready to read the target person or the client. So let's give you an example. So let's say you are on the phone and your computer and you wanted to go to a web page like facebook.com. So you type in facebook.com into your URL and this will be translated using a DNS server to an IP address. So there's a server that translates every name .com or .edu or any website with a name with a domain name. So this is like a domain name of your relevant IP address. So you request facebook.com, their request goes to a DNS server. It translates facebook.com to the IP where Facebook is stored, and then you go. So it will go Facebook to the IP address of Facebook. So it will execute the page that you wanted using all the application that we spoke about, and then it will just give you an HTML. So what you get back with just an HTML, which is markup language of the result that executing the program. So the program gets executed on the server and then you only get the result. So this is very important because in the future, if we wanted to get anything executed on the web server and if you wanted to like shell a very short of virus that you want to execute on your target computer, then we need to send it to the language that the web server understands. So for example, PHP. So once you executed it, there it will be executed on the computer, not on your computer. It will execute on the targeted computer. So regardless of the person that accesses on the page, the web shell that you are going to send, if it's written in a PHP in a language that discover, understand what is going to execute it on the server and not on your computer. Therefore, it will give you access to the server and not access to the person who has accessed that server JavaScript. So on the other hand, there is some website that use JavaScript, and JavaScript is a client-side language. So if you manage to find a website that allow you to run JavaScript code, then the code will be executed by the clients. So even though the code might get injected into the web server, it will be executed on the client side and it will give you until you allow to do things to the client computer and not on the server. So it is very important to separate between a client side language and a server side language.